universe is calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hello and welcome to Sky Tour Radio to this replay. Haha, just kidding. We're actually live tonight. Hello, Tara. How are you?
Hello, Mark. How are you?
Excellent.
Good to see you. Good.
Tara is going to be joining us as always, and it's just her and I tonight, and we're going to bring you some really cool stuff.
Cool.
And her mind is always spinning. You should have heard her before the broadcast. I think we saw smoke, but that might have been from the neon stuff she's created for the Alwyn House exhibit that she's doing. Tell us about that, Tara. I'd like to hear about that.
Thank you. I just had an opening for my art exhibit on Friday night for First Fridays, and just did a small piece of neon, and just really appreciate being included in the Lighthouse exhibit that the Alwyn House does every year downtown Phoenix. It's a nonprofit organization, and they support all the arts in the neighborhood, and it's a really, really great place to be, and wonderful people. So thanks for talking about it.
Of course. No, I'd like you to showcase it. I'd love to give you the attention. In fact, can you do the show today?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
All right, Mark, you're not feeling great?
Yeah, bye.
I'm sure everybody will appreciate that.
I'm kidding. So I want to thank you guys for showing up here. I know we had some eager viewers asking, you going to do a show tonight? You going to do a show tonight?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, I'm going to do a show tonight with Tara. It's going to be really nice. I want to let you know that Sky Tour Radio is sort of a companion to our Sky Tour live stream, which is our nonprofit organization that we created.
Mm-hmm.
Tara's actually in the organization along with Marianne Robb.
Right.
And got to have a cop in there. Marianne's a cop. And we right? And we show the universe live in real time to people using our remote telescopes. Now, I'm in Connecticut. She's in Phoenix, Arizona. So is Marianne. But I run the telescope from here in Connecticut, and it's out about an hour and a half from her out in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a long distance that we do this from, but it's sort of like long distance learning. If you want to learn about the night sky, if you want to learn about oddities in the universe, if you want to learn about the most dangerous places in the universe, you come to us.
Yep.
Right? We've shown people the most dangerous places in the universe, and not just talked about it, showed it to them live. So right in front of them, we see these images of beautiful nebulae, clusters of stars, dangerous remnants from exploded stars called supernova remnants. And the nice thing about what we do, and Tara can vouch for this, is that we will take images in our telescope, okay? And you see the telescope on the screen in the little corner, and then up in the main screen, the main view, you see everything that we do. You see all the stuff we're photographing, all right? And I showed it all to you, right?
It's just stuff.
It's just stuff, right?
Stuff.
Yeah. But what we do, and by doing that, is actually we show people the night sky in a way they've never seen before, and that way is completely live. They get to see everything live, right in front of them. As the universe displays it, we show it, and people really, really like to see that. And we've been very fortunate to actually be able to do that. And as an example, this is an example of what our screen looks like. Okay, there's yours truly in the lower left-hand corner. There is an object there in the right center screen, right there in the middle. Okay, and that's called the California Nebula. It's a giant gas cloud of hydrogen that's glowing because of a bright star that's behind the thumbs up thing on the right there.
Okay.
Yeah, and above my head there in the image, you see the telescope out in the building. That's actually one of 3 cameras we now have in there. Thank you, Tara. She installed them.
Yes. Hmm.
You
Glad
know,
they're
yeah,
working.
that's right. And then the telescope control is up there at the top in the upper left. And the camera control's on the right, but it's minimized right here. You can't see it, but it's there. So what does this mean? It means that you get to watch live as we unfold the universe before your eyes. And it really is the universe live in real time. We've successfully done this for thousands of people around the world on a nightly basis. In fact, if it's clear out there tonight, we're going to do it tonight too after this radio show. So be on the lookout. We start the streams dynamically because it depends on weather, and we're going to many platforms. We go to Twitch, Trovo, Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. And it really is a wonderful place for all. And we get people from China, Australia, Thailand, Japan, Bulgaria, of course, the United States, all over the country, Chile, Brazil. And they all come in and watch from all around the world live as we unfold the universe. I think it's really cool. And there's no one doing this, Tara.
No, where else can you do that and meet such incredible people with like minds and
Yeah.
really creative hearts? It's wonderful.
Yeah, no one. There's no one doing this. I mean, yes, there's astronomy people doing pictures and taking photographs and stuff like that,
Which
doing
is cool,
talks.
yeah.
Right. There's certainly got people doing that. But what you don't have is you don't have an astronomer. That's me. Okay. This is what we look like. Usually I'm bundled up more if I'm in a cold zone, right? But we actually run everything from the warmth of our bunker here. It's our control center out in Connecticut. And so when we run the telescope, I tell you about things we're seeing in the universe in front of your eyes. And we talk about their nature. We talk about where they come from. Meanwhile, on the screen, you're watching it materialize on your screen. Now,
in 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's right. She's absolutely right. 20 seconds it takes for us to get our images and start having the images come in. What we do is we take an image, then we take a second image, and we align it with the first and stack it and do that over and over, making an image sandwich. So all the very faint detail gets clearer and clearer the thicker the sandwich gets.
Cool.
So we might do 10, 20-second frames, and 200 seconds is not a lot of time, right? That's just like 3 minutes or just over 3 minutes. So we can sit there and in the time it takes me to explain the object, the beautiful clear image of it has come in. So it's really cool. And then, of course, in the chat, which is very dynamic, we interact with everybody and we answer the questions. If someone asks a question, well, what kind of star is that? How big is that star? How far away is that star? What is that nebula? And what's the star doing to that nebula? Why is the nebula glow? All those questions.
Why is it that color? Yeah.
What she said. That's right. That's a very common question. Why is it glowing red? Well, for those of you that follow us, you know that that's from hydrogen. Why is it glowing green? Again, for those that follow us, you know that's from ionized oxygen, right? So we have all these scientific principles that we'll actually put forth and show you. And if you don't understand it, we'll explain it. And so I try to, and one of the things I've done is I say hello to everybody that comes into the chat. I mean, that can take all night for some of the bigger streams. So I do have to be careful on some of our lunar eclipse shots or streams. We've had 5,000 people watching. So I don't say hello to everybody. I can't, but I do say hello. But we also make sure that we have moderators. We have a lot of moderators that check for questions and look for questions. And they'll feed me questions if I don't see them, because sometimes the chat's whipping by and they'll scroll back up, grab something. And so if they see something interesting on the screen, they will say it in the chat. And then the moderator will pick it up and say, somebody said at this time there was this, and this. Oh, really cool. Okay. And so we can talk about it. So, and we actually catch oddities in the view as well. Now, most of what we see are satellites going through our view, because as you know, with Starlink up there and with other countries putting more and more satellites into space, like North Korea just launched a spy satellite on November 23rd or so like that. And it achieved orbit at like 11 p.m. Their time or, so forth. So with countries that are sending up satellites, we're going to see more and more stuff every time we take a picture. But guess what? The satellite trail appears on one frame. Remember the image sandwich I talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that satellite trail might be on this frame. But then all these frames you're overlaying it with, the satellite trail is the anomaly on all those other frames, on that one frame. So all the other frames have the black of space on them, and that eventually overlays the trail. So before long, the trail goes away. And it
That
just
makes sense.
automatically goes away. And we're doing this image sandwiching on the fly, which is so cool. And there's a whole science behind there that I could talk to you about. When I was getting my degree in astronomy, we paid close attention to a characteristic called full width half maximum. I basically, if you have a light blob on a image, it goes like this. It starts to rise up, it reaches a peak, and then it comes down. It doesn't just go up and then down. It's a gentle
Like
curve.
A
Okay.
wave? A sine
It's like
wave?
it sort of looks like the top part of a wave. That's right. Usually
Okay.
waves are like this, right? But this is like that. So when that thing is going up like that, at the halfway point in that maximum height, that's the size we're talking about, and that actually has some connotations in astronomy that we use quite often. Okay, so that full width half maximum in astronomy is also used to determine how well your focus is and how well your focusing system is keeping up with the changes in the night sky that are happening all around you. So we have turbulence in the sky, and sometimes our telescope is doing this in the wind. And in the past, we've had to abort doing one of these image stacks. So we might get to say 20, and then a wind comes along and ruins the 21st shot, and the whole thing is thrown away. I hated that. Now we have a system where we actually measure that full width half maximum value, which I can set. And if it gets bigger than that, it means the star is bloated or elongated from the wind, and it will ignore that frame. So you can, we did this on a windy night about a week ago. I did a private stream for myself. Okay. And I ran the telescope. I took some photographs. And as the photo was being taken, I noticed that there was wind, and I could see wind whipping around from some dust here and there in the observatory building. And that dust told me there was a significant wind out there. We've had high winds as high as 80 miles an hour out there on a regular night, because the cooling of the desert can sometimes impose some fantastical winds. You probably know all about this, Tara. The wind problem out there in the desert. You're muted.
Sorry, I had a barking dog. Apologies. Oh, but we don't always have the roof open when it's windy out there, right?
Right. In fact, sorry, piece of ice. I'm preserving my voice. I don't open above like 18 miles an hour for winds.
Okay.
Below that, I'll open. And then what happens is we'll take a picture. And if it shakes a little bit, then that full width half maximum value, the halfway height across of the light curve for that one object, like a star, might be elongated and blown out because of the wind, and will ignore that frame. So only perfect frames get in there. So the other night it was windy, like I said. I turned around and I did a private stream to test this process. It worked wonderfully. I took perfect shots on a windy night. Now, it took like 30 or 40 frames, of which 20 or so, 21 or so were actually good. So all the rest were thrown away. So in other words, we never get a bad photo anymore. And what happens to those photos, you may ask? I heard it.
What happens?
Right. Well,
that's a little slow.
No. It was actually just sort of a notional thing. I didn't mean for you to answer, but that was good. So what happens to those photos is when we take them, as soon as we're done and I save the photo, you get that whole image sandwich that's saved. And you also get a PNG image, a ping image of the final stacked image that's been processed. We process it sometimes manually right there on the fly. And it happens within seconds. And when we save it, it leaves the observatory out in the deep desert in Arizona, goes up to satellites, comes bouncing back down, and goes to our server. So within 30 seconds of this photo being taken, you can download it from our server. How do you get to our server, you may ask?
How do you get to our server?
Great question. I know this sounds crazy. I know. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm being funny. All right. Now, okay. If you want to know where we are, then this is where we are.
There we go.
Okay. Our SkyTour live stream portal is at skytourlive.com or skytourlive.org. As a nonprofit or a company, we also have the .org as well. So skytourlive.com will take you there. You'll get to see all these photos within seconds of clicking there. And if you're not a member of SkyTour Livestream, all you have to do is go up to the left a little bit. That's the right on the screen, but up to the left, okay? And you click on SkyTour Livestream. It takes you to our YouTube channel, and you could subscribe there. It's all free. None of this you have to pay for.
It's all free.
Now, if you want to support us, which we always encourage, you can join our Patreon, and that's on the other side of the screen. The Patreon's up there. So, or you can scroll down, see a little gallery of the things we've taken pictures of. You can learn a little bit more about what we do, who we are, and if you want to support us, that's where you might read about what we do. So it's really a very, very nice little portal to everything we do. And if you want to go see the photos we took, you scroll down to just the dark gray block that's right underneath the main page, right underneath that main photo. And you click in there and it says, take me to cool pictures. And it tells you how to get at the pictures. And you click in there and boom, you're on our server. And you can dig through and they're all by name. So you'll see like, ooh, look, Mesher 22 globular cluster. Ooh, what's that look like? You click on it, bring up the picture. Wow, look at that. You know, it's a little more detailed than
Really
that,
cool.
but it is cool. You know,
It's easy though. It's fairly easy to have access to amazing deep space images. It's incredible. And then you can play with them and do what you want with them. And
that's right. And for those that want to, what they can do is they could take our raw images, that stack I talk about, that raw stack we save in an astronomical file format called FITS, F-I-T, okay? And the FIT file is one that actually has all the data in it. It's unprocessed. So when you open it up in like any program that can read the FITS format, it looks kind of dark with some very dim stars. You don't realize there's so much data hiding inside that gigantic cube of data. All right. So many stars, soft, glowing nebulae, and it's all in color, by the way, too. We use a special camera, a one-shot color camera, by the ZWO Corporation, and this particular camera is specifically tuned to work with this particular telescope. All right. Not only that, our telescope is very, very fast, and we have a telescope that runs 25 times faster than it did out of the box. Okay. And that's because we modified it. Now, that modification made to it was done by Starizona in Tucson, Arizona. And the addition of this, it's a great, you've been there so many times.
I've been there a few times.
Yes, because we've had failures in a telescope that had to be addressed right away. And guess who gets in her car and drives out with Marianne to take the telescope, all 300 pounds of it, take it off the pier, stick it in a pickup truck, and drive it to Tucson.
Road trip.
Hopefully, we're going to be doing less of that. And
it's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? Look, it's new technology. It took me a year to work the bugs out of this, by the way. A year experimenting on my front lawn right here. I had an actual dome on the front lawn here, and it looked like a minion from Despicable Me. And on Halloween, I dressed it up like Stuart the Minion, big round eye, and it's like banana. I mean, he had the big yellow coveralls. The blue coveralls. It was hilarious, and people stopping, taking pictures. It's like wow.
It was big.
Oh yeah, it was just crazy. But then I had to reach that fateful moment where I actually outgrew it, and I had to sell it, and I got rid of all the yellow and the blue on it. Okay. And I sold it to someone on Long Island who took it and is now giving it another life, which is fantastic. But it was only an 8-foot dome, and that's small. And if you want to make someone go crazy, you tell them to go into a dome and stand in the corner. That'll get you. Okay. Where's the corner?
Where's the corner? Or have them do it during the winter, right?
Oh, I did that during the winter. I don't know if you were with us at the time we were doing it during the winter. I know Amanda Curran was. She was our co-host originally. And I was out there in the dome in 10-degree weather showing people things because I had to be at the telescope at that point. I didn't have it remote operated yet.
Right.
And so I'd be saying, this is Jupiter, and of course people would laugh and snicker because I'm freezing my tushy off out there, and I would have to actually cut the stream short when I couldn't feel my feet anymore. So I said, this is not going to work. So I started advancing the technology, started learning about infrastructure of these remote systems, and I have. And so I've done that to the point where, I was recommended to the Galileo team with Avi Loeb, and I've worked with Avi on multiple programs and so forth on ABC and other places. And they were interested in the remote capability. How do you do this quickly and get feedback, understand what's going on? And, at some point, maybe they'll avail themselves of me being able to do that or help them with that. It'd be great. Maybe not. But the bottom line is, once you get into a technology, if it's for you, you're going to go hog wild to make it work. And that's just what I did. Right. And it took about a year to work all the bugs out so that now what does happen out there, as Tara will attest, when it goes bad, it's exceedingly rare. It's exceedingly rare. We actually have a very, very good operating system out there. And speaking of systems, that's the one system, right? And we have a second system that we are going to be putting in. Now, I know some of you have heard this before, but we are re-examining locations for the second system. We had one we thought was going to work. That may not work out as well as we thought. So we're going to a different place and look for a different spot out in Arizona in a location completely different from where this one is. So if it's cloudy at one location, it might be clear at the other. When you get 300 clear nights a year, it means that I'm probably guaranteed to get very little sleep in the coming year. Right?
You live for that. You live for these night skies, which is so great. It's what makes it so interesting. So
I do love it, Mr. Spock. Yes. I absolutely love it. Yeah. So that said, I'm really pleased and happy that we have support from members of our Patreon and other so forth.
Thank you, everyone,
that have provided us with the support for this. I can't thank everyone and on the show, but there's a lot of people that support us, from the moderators to the donors to the people that support us, and we still have to keep going. Our internet's costing us like $120 a month, and it's Starlink. Okay, so we are using that nemesis of astronomers to further astronomy. So does that mean we're in bed with the enemy?
No,
maybe not. I don't want to look at it that way, but for the trials and tribulations that we associate with Starlink, the benefits far outweigh the detractions. So I'm very happy to be using Starlink out there, because without it, none of this would be possible. Not in the way we were doing it before without it, but not in the way that we were doing it. Not the way we're doing it now. We have a lot more bandwidth and capability, and it's all because of that. So, we're looking forward to a nice future here. I wanted to also mention that our current telescope out there that I said is 25 times faster than it was out of the box. It is the only telescope on Earth, and we know this for a fact. It's the only one on Earth that is set up this way. We have a telescope made by a company called Meade. We have the only Meade on planet Earth that's been modified to be 25 times faster. So we are it. We are the only ones that have that particular telescope modified to that speed. Yes, you can get other telescopes and modify them to that speed. Sure, Celestrons, they're made native for Celestrons sometimes, but not the Meades. And we chose to do Meade way in the beginning, and so we modified that telescope. And I got to tell you, I exceeded our expectations. You could hear the gasps from people watching. Sometimes you can just hear it. And
truly,
right?
They're just the images are just incredible, and you're expecting something beautiful, but not that beautiful sometimes.
Yeah, and we look at the Rosette Nebula, which is behind us here on the screen, right? And
Right.
this Rosette Nebula, this thing behind us was a 20-second photograph with this telescope. You don't get that for 20 seconds in the real world. Only in our world where we've got this special equipment. So we're really happy to be able to do this for everybody. And as an astronomer, a professional astronomer, I've taken my astronomy to the streets. I want to do public education in astronomy.
Cool.
Because it's a rigid application of that, Tara, that's going to allow us to leave this planet someday.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. We have 1 minute till the first break, but
Okay.
I can't wait. If I could leave the planet now, I would, and I'll send you back pictures, and you can compare them.
You can't go without me.
Okay, hey, let's all go.
We'll all go, yeah.
I'm ready.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to talk about a really cool planetary system that's been found by the James Webb Space Telescope. We're going to talk about super habitable worlds, and we're going to talk about where we come from. And it's a rather dusty topic, so prepare to sneeze a few times. All right. So it's going to be very interesting. And then, given time, we have a couple more things to look forward to. We're going to talk about planets that have water on them in our solar system and elsewhere. And we're going to then talk about how you too can explore the moon with absolutely no cost whatsoever and see the Apollo landing sites with your own eyes. All right.
Awesome.
So we'll get to some of that as soon as we come back. So thanks for listening, and stick to us. Stay with us.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you would like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. only at KGRADB.com.
Hey, welcome back. It is time for us to dive into some topics, and I would really like to welcome back Tara. Hello.
Hello.
And
Hi.
we before the break we talked about a perfect planetary system that was found, and it's true that James Webb did locate one. Now, what does perfect mean? That's a loaded question when it comes to a universe that's constantly chaotic.
Yeah,
Right.
really.
But yeah, exactly. But it is very pertinent to what's happening. And give you an example. James Webb looked at a star system. In fact, the star. Oh no, I'm sorry. I said James Webb. I'm totally wrong. It was two satellites. It was a transiting exoplanet survey satellite, TESS, and
Oh,
CHEOPS, which was a European Space Agency satellite. Those two together did this data. James Webb is another discovery that we may or may not get to. But the planet
so
was
many.
this planet was found with those two satellites, TESS and CHEOPS, and that's CHEOPS, CHEOPS. Okay, and the star is about 25 times further than the nearest star. So if you think, well, you know, it takes us about 10 to 12,000 years to get to the nearest star, it's about well, quite a
Long
bit
way.
more distant, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's about 25 times more distant, but that's still close. 100 light years is still close, and that's what it is, 100 light years away.
Okay.
And it's a perfect system. It's a star a little bit less intensely bright than our sun. That's a characteristic we call luminosity. It has a lower luminosity.
Okay.
And this particular star is a little more yellow, more orangey than our star. It's a K-type star on the OBAF GKM scale, which we have right here. You can see along
Yeah.
the bottom here, OBAF GKM. Hot and blue are to the left, and way up top, they're very, very bright. And when you get to the M's, they're tiny little stars, about a tenth
Little
to
babies.
yeah, little baby stars. Yeah, what's a baby star?
They're whittle.
Yeah, little, huh? And it would still fry you if you got close enough. Yeah, and those stars actually, the star we're looking at is a K star. Okay, and this
Okay.
okay, and no, it's a K type star, and that star, it's found that it has 6 planets around it, and these 6 planets are a star system like a solar system is, right? Except all the planets are about 2 to 3 times the Earth's radius. In other words, they're almost all the same size, and none of them are in the habitable zone. And you might say, well, then why do we care? I'll tell you why we care. Because it goes to the topic we're going to talk about next. Okay. They're perfect, meaning that they are in a perfect resonance. Well, you see resonance in our solar system. What's that mean? It means that the closest star goes around the star 3 times, and then the one that's next out goes around 1 time or 2 times. For the amount of, if it goes around 3 times, the next one goes around twice in that time period. Okay, and that's called the 3 to 2 resonance, and we see that twice in the solar system, and then we see a resonance that goes from 4 to 5 or 6. I can't remember which one, which resonance it is. I'll remember it when we get to it because I'm jumping the gun here a little bit. But when we talk about perfect, what we mean is because the planets are all the same size and they're all kind of like mini Neptunes. Now, why? Yeah, little tiny giant Neptunes, and it's like this jumbo shrimp. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Like kind of like military intelligence, business.
We could go on all night. I have a feeling.
So, yeah, and but perfect really means something that we have to consider by going back to the formation of the system. When it was first formed, we talk about the nebular hypothesis for how our solar system formed. Suns formed, okay, a lot of hot gas, and then we have this disk around the star called an accretion disk, and in there some knots of material start to gravitationally coalesce, and more stuff coalesces and makes planets, right? Well, yes, that is how this solar system apparently formed. And so we got planets of potentially roughly, equal sizes, potentially, maybe not. But we were a very, very violent birth. We had collisions. Earth, for instance, was struck by a Mars-sized body. And it hit
Our moon?
that it ripped out a giant chunk which started to orbit the Earth and form a temporary ring around our planet. Okay. And that ring ended up becoming the moon when that stuff coalesced. And then lots of debris now is in this inner solar system. Where does that debris go? Well, on Mercury, you can see where it went. You look at Mercury, it's covered with craters, millions of craters. You look at the Earth, and it's covered with craters, millions of craters. Okay. You don't see them because we have an atmosphere and we have erosion. But if you go to Google Earth and you look for a crater overlay on Earth, you'll find all the major crater impacts on this planet. And there are some you won't even imagine are really craters, but they are. They're impact craters. So when did they hit? Well, long before dinosaurs and people were here. But still, that means billions of years ago. But it also means that this process was very violent. The moon, covered with craters. Mars, many craters. Now, Mars had an atmosphere that was a lot thicker, and that thicker atmosphere allowed for some erosion on Mars. All right, and that erosion had there's a lot of water in the atmosphere, a lot of water running on the surface of Mars. But then a major impact that Mars had, and Mars suffered, blew off a lot of its atmosphere. Violent birth, violent changes to the planet.
Yeah.
And that resulted in Mars becoming if it was ever a living world, a dead world. Okay. And so we have the asteroid belt. And sometimes those asteroids get dislodged and come into the inner solar system where they take up residence in these little resonant locations, 60 degrees ahead of our orbit and 60 degrees behind. Okay. The Trojan asteroids, near Earth asteroids by any other name. And those are dangerous. We have what are called SDOs, scattered disk objects, which come in from the outside of our solar system into the inner solar system, zoom, go around the sun and go back out. And hopefully there's no planet in the way there that could get hit by it. But we've seen Jupiter get hit by a comet, Shoemaker-Levy 9.
That was cool.
I watched it happen live. I had my telescope out when I knew it was happening. I set up the telescope and I saw Jupiter's disk, and I waited some time. And about an hour later, I started to see the first black scar on the surface of Jupiter come out, long before the concept of a remote telescope was even something on most anyone's imagination at that time. Now, that said, we were born of violence, okay? Pluto, covered in craters, but there's areas on Pluto that are not. That's because it's been resurfaced. Why? Because the surface is doing active things. It's bringing up new material, gets rid of the old craters. Sputnik Planum, okay, the plains of Sputnik, basically, on Pluto are a regenerative region, a region where the new terrain comes up. So the terrain there is younger than the terrain in the highlands of Pluto, where there's all kinds of craters. Okay, so lots and lots of destruction. And by the way, that resulted in planets of most likely vastly different sizes. Okay, so Mercury is small, Earth was bigger, the Moon is small, Mars is smaller than the Earth. Okay. Jupiter's massive, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, all those guys. Yes, that's out of order. So the thing is, those violent collisions created us. And in spite of that, we exist. Okay, we'll talk about that too. But this newly discovered star system at HD 110067, HD stands for Henry Draper Catalog Number. It's also a TESS object of interest, TOI. And a Cheops object of interest. Okay. And it seems like this planetary system was created without any of that destructive influence. And it seems to be like this star system is well over 1 billion years old.
Wow.
And it hasn't had any violent birthing birth defects, if you will. Okay, very fascinating location, very fascinating planetary systems there. But this less violent, perfectly rhythmic orbital dance that they're doing doesn't happen much as far as we've seen. So this makes this solar system, this star system out there, 100 light years away, really one of the coolest star systems we've seen to date.
So you call it perfect.
It is. It's pristine.
Pristine because it didn't have the violent beginning, but is it perfect for us? Could we hang out there?
Oh, I wish that. Yeah, that's no, it's not for us because the star is too hot. The planets are all too close. The time it takes for the planets to go around, they think is anything from 5 days to 53 days. Okay,
Fast.
so yeah, they're too close to this K-type star. If it was an M-type star, then some of those planets might be in the habitable zone, but it's a K-type star, so it has a ways to go. But this picture-perfect resonance where some of the planets go around exactly this many times, and the next ones out move exactly that many times as a result, all the way out to the outermost planet in that system, is really what's fascinating about this system. It has these perfect resonances, as we call them. And now those, again, we've seen resonances, right? Jupiter's moons have resonances. Saturn's moon have resonances. There's resonances with Mercury and the sun. Okay. And so forth. But it's not, it's because we were born out of chaos. We had these chaotic orbital processes going on that actually ended up leveling themselves out and finding a nice medium, pathway to staying stable and to stability. This solar system, this star system that we see, it never had to worry about that. It was settled and perfect from day one. So we call it pristine. So it'll be interesting to see if we can learn more about this, because that could tell us a lot about how planets form and how habitable worlds form, right? Now, we call Earth a habitable planet, but is it? Is it?
Well, we
Right?
live here.
We do.
We're-
Well, name some things that happen here that make it hard to live here.
Well, it's just the beginning. We had to have oxygen to begin with, so that was difficult, and
Yeah.
so we created that. We've had the extinctions, several different extinctions,
Yeah.
volcanoes,
Yeah,
the Ice Age.
that's right. Ice Age is.
Yeah,
Multiple ice ages. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Tara's right. She's speaking truthfully. And, to add to that, okay, this planet has tectonic activity. We have crustal plates that all grind and move against each other. And wherever they're grinding against each other, sometimes they try to ride up over each other. And when they do that, that point where they ride up on fosters magma that comes up from the inside, and we get volcanoes along those ridge lines. We see that with the Pacific plate in the Pacific Ocean. Under the Pacific Ocean, looks like an ocean with land on either side, but it's actually a central plate with a ring around it where the edges of the Pacific plate are. And all along that ring, everywhere along that ring, is something called the Ring of Fire. What's that mean? It means there's volcanoes there. Why? Because that's where the Pacific plate is either subducting under the plate next to it or riding up over the plate next to it. That subduction and riding up over is where this stuff occurs. That's why the west coast of the United States, where the Pacific plate ends, okay, is fraught with earthquakes. Okay, it's why Mount Shasta and Mount St. Helens. Okay, Mount Shasta is a volcano. Mount St. Helens is in the Cascades in Washington. It's on this zone where the Pacific plate collides with the North American plate. Okay, Alaska, the Aleutian Island chain, that pretty much outlines the shape of the plate right there, and it's very volcanic. Eastern Russia, Irkutsk, up there in that area, that is where we have lots of volcanoes as well. Then down into Japan, Mount Fuji, lots of volcanoes. Go down further, down into the Philippines, right? We have tremendous eruptions there. We just had one caught by satellite that actually blew its top, and you saw from space this massive cloud that expanded for hundreds of miles in every direction from a volcanic eruption that had just occurred. In fact, an island vanished when this happened. Okay.
Scary.
So yeah. So in spite of this, we survive here. In spite of this, and by the way, those eruptions sometimes spawn tsunamis.
That's right.
And earthquakes spawn tsunamis, right? There was a tsunami, okay, in overseas, right? Okay,
Yes.
Banda Aceh, remember that? I think that was that 2002 or 2004. I don't remember. 2000. I don't know. Anyway, 300 some odd thousand people died. Okay, and what do they say? We will rebuild. Wow. Okay, it's like you'll rebuild on the spot where your house was swept away with violence. I
Wow.
might choose to build in a different spot, but if that's all you got, it's all you got, right? And so
Just
you
have
rebuild.
access to the mountains so you can climb high fast.
That's right. In fact, interesting story about that. When the Banda Aceh earthquake occurred, the sea life in one of the harbors there were exhibiting signs that a tsunami was coming to the chief of one of the local tribes. I say tribes, but village people, okay, that were there. And the chief knew enough to say, everybody get to high ground. I don't like what the porpoises are doing in the harbor.
Oh, wow.
And everybody went to a high ground, and they survived because they read the wildlife. Right?
Very cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
And I confirm that story really happened. And I get some of the names and so forth wrong, like chief or whatever, but it was a leader of a certain group of people there. It was on an island, though. It wasn't on the mainland.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is, but in spite of all that, we still live here. So all these things, all these disasters and all these things, hurricanes, etc., they take life on our planet. Right? We have seasonal variations because our Earth flipped over, probably during that collision with a Mars-sized body, right?
Oh.
So we have deep cold sometimes that kill people. We have extreme heat, which also kills people. So the question is this planet the best planet for life?
Is it perfect?
It's not. In fact, it's not. We exist here in spite of what it throws at us. Now that shows something about the tenacity of the species that have been created here and born here and evolved here. Okay. Now, evolved is the key word. It's evolution. If we were a lot simpler creatures, we would never have survived. Okay. A simple solar storm could have wiped us all out. Right. But the ultraviolet radiation that did make it to the surface, we can deal with. We have a organ called the skin, which allows us to absorb some ultraviolet radiation. Not a whole lot, obviously, but enough so that we can survive without having our cells damaged to the point where it'll kill us. But there are people that say, well, I want my cells damaged, and it does kill them because they lay out in the sun too long and they end up with melanomas and skin cancers and things like that. So anything can be anything, right?
Well, if we evolved here, why aren't we healthier than being here? Why is it so difficult? Wouldn't we have developed a perfect way to live in this chaos, or is it just constantly been chaos that's caused?
No, you're right. We should have, right? But
Well,
that assumes that we're done evolving. We're not. Just because we know the word, and just because we know the process, doesn't mean it's stopped. I can give dozens, literally, I can give dozens of examples of ongoing evolution right now among animal species on this planet. Okay. But unfortunately, we're not done evolving. So the sun's radiation, the ultraviolet radiation, will attack us and mutate some of our genes. The environment could cause our genes to mutate. And the next child that's born might have this mutation. And that mutation might actually allow the child to succeed better than we are.
Beneficial. Okay.
That's called mutation, followed by adaptation. And we know that is evolution, because that's the definition of evolution. So if we can mutate and adapt, and the adaptation from the mutation is one that successfully propagates life for that species, that will become the dominant genetic pot from which all the future life will come from for that particular species. And that's how it's worked for billions of years on this planet. I say billions because life started about, I'd say about just around 2 billion years ago in earnest, when we had the oxygen making phytoplankton build up in our oceans. That's when oxygen started to form. It turns out we don't need oxygen, by the way, to form, as we'll see in our next topic here. Moving on to life-giving materials found on planets elsewhere and here on our planet.
Cool.
Here it makes perfect sense. Everybody knows about here. Okay, the source of life on this planet. Tara said it before. It's a quiz. No, I'm just kidding. But life on this planet started off as a very tenuous hold on the planet. Didn't really. It was wiped out several times before it actually took hold again and finally took hold. There's rumor, actually, based on some of the stuff that I've seen, that we were actually a global ice age at one point where the entire Earth was a snowball.
Cool.
And
That was pretty.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it was.
From space. Bet it was.
Yeah. What's the weather tomorrow? What's the weather tomorrow, Luke? Well, we're going to have some ice and snow. Okay, back to you, Frank.
Cold.
Weather was pretty simple. Yeah. It's cold out here. Okay, back to the newscast. Yeah. But life-giving is, of course, meaning, as we're alluding to, warmth, right?
Yes.
Warmth that the human form as we have it now can tolerate. Oh, yes, we wear sweatshirts and coats and stuff. But why should we have to wear coats? Because we're still evolving. Now, we had fur before when we were evolving from, the not apes, but from hominids, right? Okay, we didn't evolve from apes. We evolved from hominids, different species. But we evolved from these hominids, and we had hair to live without clothes. But then we evolved away the need for hair somehow, and that's always been a mystery to me. Why would we suddenly evolve the need for clothes? Because we lost our hair.
Was it when the Earth shifted? Did the temps change?
Well, seasonal variations was definitely a local pressure on life forms to change their behavior, thus migrations. Right? In the winter, something migrates to warmer climates. In the summer, it migrates away from the hot into the cooler. Yeah. Right? So migrations are a distinct result of a tilted axis on a planet. We can't expect that to be everywhere. So it's interesting to look at the requirements for life. And when we look here, we have our oceans. Oceans are very important. Okay. We came from the water. We know this. Okay. You have salt in your tissues. You lick your skin. It's like salty. Right. I don't encourage you doing this now.
Don't do it.
Okay. No. Okay. But I will say, or anybody else's. Okay. But I will say, well, okay. I will say that salty characteristic in your skin, that's actually a vestigial remnant of the ocean salt that you were born in and that you evolved out of. So evolution has a way of maintaining past history, and this is one way. We have a relationship with sodium that goes back all the way to when we were in the ocean, as well as sea creatures. All right. And when we left the ocean, we carried that vestigial ocean on our backs through skin, holding in the fluids and liquids. The skin doubled as a protection against the ultraviolet radiation because we didn't need it when we were underwater. Okay.
Right.
So how, if you think about it, all these things came about by chance. And you'll say, yeah, that just seems too crazy. How can that happen? Well, if you think about it, it seems like it's by chance, but keep in mind that the number of chances we're talking about are millions upon millions of different combinations that occurred. And somewhere along the line, one or two of them would promote longevity and the ability to exist within this new ecosystem. Okay. So you're talking about many, many millions of changes made within the species, and a couple of those changes allowed exit from the water. And from there, it's called radiative adaptation. When you radiate out and get more things that adapt based on this original ancestor. That's what happened here. Okay. So when people say that we evolved from bugs or whatever and so forth, they're wrong. But when we evolved from, say, hominins or from creatures that came out of the water early on and just started to experiment with being out of the water for a period of time, that's true. The mud skipper is an example of a fish that does that now. It comes out of the water. It evolved to handle moments when the tide was out. Why? Because we have a moon, and that moon exerts a pull along with the sun, and because you're on a tilt, okay, and the Earth's rotating, it exerts a pull that causes the oceans to rise and fall rhythmically on our planet, right? And so that's the thing that allows and forces pressures on an ecosystem of creatures. Wow. Isn't that crazy?
It is so cool. So cool. You have less than a minute till our next break.
I know. You're right. And I tell you, I just won't shut up.
Thank goodness. It's all interesting. I'm learning so much.
Please, you've been jumping in, but I'd like to hear more from you if you have more to say.
Yeah, no, I just think it's interesting. I think after the break, I might have some more questions and stuff. So
fantastic. Yeah. Well, when we get back, we will talk in earnest about these planets that do look like they can support life, possibly. And we're also going to look at some of the moons in our solar system that look like they can support life. And then we'll talk about how you can explore our own moon. We'll be right back. This is Sky Tour Radio with Mark and Tara.
Hey.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you'd like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at kgradb.com.
Hey, welcome back. Now Tara threatened to have questions when we come back. I wonder if it's true yet, or should I
No.
go on? You tell me what you want to do right now, Tara.
Well, you were talking about though the salinity of the salt factor. You know that when we're looking for places that we might go to, and they have the oceans or the water, do we have to find that salt as well, or can it just be a mineral there? Or obviously, is salt only made in the water? These might be kind of silly questions.
No, not silly at all. In fact, that's a
but-
fantastic question.
So that's kind of what I was thinking when you were talking about that. Where
Yeah.
can we go with salt, or do we have to bring it with us? Or
Yeah, no, I have a feeling that salts are actually commonplace in the solar system for sure. We see them on different asteroids, okay? On Ceres, for instance, the asteroid Ceres. There's all kinds of salts. It doesn't mean it has to be sodium chloride. There's other types of salts. But sodium is an interesting element, okay? And chlorine is an interesting element. One wants an electron and one can easily give up an electron. What does that mean? It means you can get a bond between the sodium and the chloride very easily. And when rainwater washes over things like rock, okay, it can dislodge sodium and chlorine atoms quite easily. And then they wash down to the water where they actually will zip around in the water separately and then bond to each other. That bonding process is something that can break, but that's why you have salt water. That's why the oceans are salty, because this sodium and this chlorine soup comes together to form these salts, okay? And again, there's other types of salts, but sodium is an element in the periodic table. It's made in the hearts of stars as well as through other processes within stars. And it's something that is going to be throughout the universe. So if we have a planet that has water on it, if it's an entirely water planet, it had to start before the water was there. So it had to be a rocky planet that ended up having a lot of water form on it through rain, probably in a heavy, heavy atmosphere. And those types of processes are things that would generate a sodium chloride salt in the water in all likelihood. So our dance we've done forever with sodium is something that we'd probably find being done by other life forms that we find elsewhere. So I don't know that we have to bring it with us. The amount of salt water in a foreign alien ocean could be a question. Sometimes it could be really, really salty. Okay, this heavy brine. Okay, as we'll see. Actually, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Or it could be a very light salt, lightly salted, not too much salt. Throw a little garlic and some shallots. I don't know. But as you can see, we do have fun here. So the question of salt is one that is a very good one. But sodium, again, being an ever-present atom in the universe, is probably going to be ever-present on a planetary surface as well.
Cool.
See? Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we talk about planets, for instance, that could support potential life, we consider that there has to be liquid water on the surface. Now, the first one I'm going to mention is one that was actually just found, and this one, all right, is the one found by the James Webb Space Telescope, which I confused from earlier, sorry, with the Cheops and the TESS satellite finding of the 6 planets. This one is a world that was found, and it's a very interesting planet because it's found by it's listed as K2, so it was found with the Kepler secondary program K2, and then the James Webb Space Telescope looked at it to characterize it to get the contents of its atmosphere, and you'll never guess what it found. Okay, now first of all, it looks like it's a gigantic planet that's a little bigger than the Earth, but this planet has almost an exclusively hydrogen atmosphere. We can't breathe that.
Not yet.
Say, oh, well, can't have any life. Not so fast. Not so fast. James Webb also found, and they're confirming it now, actually, so this is tentatively true, a compound called dimethyl sulfide. Now, dimethyl sulfide, you say, well, who cares? What's that? Well, I'll tell you what it is because you know it very well. Everybody listening to this knows what dimethyl sulfide is. When you go down to the sea and it's low tide, you know how it really smells? Oh, it must be low tide. It stinks pretty bad, right?
Kind of fishy.
Right? That
fishy-ish.
stink. Yeah.
And seaweedish, sort of.
Yeah. The dimethyl sulfide is what you're smelling. And guess what? On the planet Earth, only dimethyl sulfide is only created by life. It is a true indicator of life on our planet. It's part of the waste products of living things. So, plankton poop, if you will. Okay.
Respiration.
Yeah, more like more like expulsion.
Okay.
Okay. But yes. So if you think about it, dimethyl sulfide on K2-18b, which is the full name of this planet, indicates there might be life there under a purely hydrogen atmosphere.
Weird.
So what kind of life? Well, obviously, it's going to start off as microbial life in the beginning, right? The planet's age, I don't know offhand, and so these are things we'll get to in another episode or on a SkyTour live stream when we open up an observatory. We'll talk about it. But so that's one that looks like we could have some life potential there, and it's because of this dimethyl sulfide.
Cool.
Yeah. Check it out. Look it up.
So that's kind of like here on Earth, those mats created all the oxygen for us. I mean, they changed our atmosphere, right?
They absolutely did. And so could we, that's a very, very prescient thing to say, because what if here on this planet, we know how it happened, right? But what about on this planet? We call it a Hycean world, okay? Hycean, okay? Hycean meaning hydrogen atmosphere. But what if this hydrogen atmosphere is being moderated by upcoming life that creates this dimethyl sulfide, and we just haven't detected the rest of the composition yet because there's not enough of it. We can remember, evolution doesn't stop just because we notice it, and evolution of a star system doesn't stop just because we see it.
That's a good point.
So this could all be ongoing, and we're seeing something. We could be seeing the beginnings of a water planet that could house life, right?
That's so fun. It's fun to think about.
It is. Yes. And if there's pressures on a creature within the water to do different things, then it might evolve. It might change its structure. It might change its behavior. It might change its structure to cope. Again, mutation would occur. Again, you can remember, you got millions of adaptations or mutations happening all the time.
Right.
And if one of them points to this species having better success, that's what's going to come out in front. These others are just going to fade away, and this will become the dominant form. That's evolution. Okay, mutation followed by adaptation. So if creatures can exist in the water, if there's enough pressures, all right, or if there's a land surface for them to climb on, they may evolve to become land creatures too. Now, we see, it looks like mostly water right now, but we don't know that. We don't see it. We infer it. Right?
From instruments.
Yes, we could. There could be smaller land masses that we don't even see. Okay.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll have to see. But it's really cool. Another planet that looks like it's worth looking at, but it's not necessarily life-giving. But knowing this last planet that we just saw with the Hycean, hydrogen atmosphere that has potential signals of life, we go back to Proxima Centauri b.
That sounds familiar.
The closest known exoplanet to our solar system is Proxima
Yeah.
Centauri b, and it orbits in the habitable zone of its host star. Now, the planet's mass suggests that it might be of rocky composition, and it might have a potential of liquid water on its surface. And this is, again, James Webb, point your butt toward that. Let's see what you got. So now, if we look
Everything.
at, yes, right? What if
But
we look
every
there-
instrument you have towards that direction.
Yes, I agree with that, Tara. So what if, for instance, now, let's say they find dimethyl sulfide there too, Tara.
Ooh, that'd be
Now-
cool.
Think about this, though. They found dimethyl sulfide potentially. I have to always throw that in there right now until it's confirmed. On this planet, K218b. What's that say about dimethyl sulfide? It says that, well, here on Earth, it's formed by life. So therefore, maybe dimethyl sulfide existence is a signal for life everywhere in the universe. Time will tell. We, of course, have to get there. Of course, we have to see what else is there. We have to detect whether we could say there's certainly life there. Now, we don't know that. But I think the universe has these templates. It's not conscious, but because of the predilection of certain atoms to do certain things with certain capabilities and characteristics, the universe ends up having a amazing capability to provide a platform from which life can spring. And I think that's what we see. I think life in the universe is the rule, not the exception, which is obviously the title of my book, The Populated Universe. I mean, I'm not just trying to plug the book, not doing this, okay?
Well, you
But-
should, because it's a great book.
If people want it, they can get it on Amazon.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
the point is, it started here because it must start here. Meaning, not the only place, but meaning that we had all of the pieces in place. And in spite of the Earth throwing all this disastrous stuff at us, we still survived. And we came to the top to whatever level you think top is. Now, I look at it this way. What if here on our planet, unlike the perfect star system we talked about, okay, what if on our planet we were in a perfect system? What if we had no extinction events? We've had 5 major extinction events. Know what those are? Those are 5 reset to zeros nearly for life on this planet. The worst one being 252 million years ago during the Permian period. 96% of all life was extinguished. And that's because of a major volcanic eruption that happened in the Siberian traps. Carbon dioxide flowing under the ground from lava, magma hitting organic compounds created vast amounts of carbon dioxide. And then we had gigatons of carbon dioxide all liberated when it reached the edge of that magma cap, and it boom, that stuff all came out. And within a couple of days, couple of weeks, the ocean temperature rose by 21 degrees.
Wow.
You know, we hear,
Wow.
yeah, think about it. Yeah, how about that for global warming? Okay.
We think a half a degree is horrible.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. People scream on a quarter of a degree change. Oh,
Mhm.
Tokyo's a quarter degree warmer. Yeah, okay, yeah, call me when it's a degree, and then you're a 21th of the way to a 21st of the way. So bottom line is, yeah. So you go to the next step now, and you say, well, okay, why did that kill all the life? Well, most of the life was in the oceans at that time, and when the temperature rises 21 degrees, right, and that's Celsius, by the way, not Fahrenheit. When it raises 21 Celsius, that's a large amount. Ocean water is much less capable of holding oxygen in it at higher temperatures, right? So, unfortunately, ocean life that depended on oxygen was starved out. So slowly it died off, and it led to a 96% extinction of all life on the planet. Now, naturally, we recovered. Why? In spite of that, we persist as a planet with life, right? So there's a lot of possibilities. Tenacity of species in the universe could be something that our planet is sort of a marker for, hey, if we can do it here, we can do it anywhere, kind of a thing, right? Now, next comes the TRAPPIST-1 planets. Now, here there's 7 roughly Earth-sized planets, and they're in the TRAPPIST-1 system.
Cool.
Okay, that's around 40 light years away, and they spark a lot of interest. Now, the TRAPPIST planets, okay, you have B, C, D, E, F, and G, and H, right? Okay, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Okay, these planets, I think, do it.
Is it your ABCs?
It's my ABC. I think I could do that for you, so. Okay, but E, F, and G, okay, planets E, planets F, and planets G are the ones that might look like they're in a habitable zone for the star system.
Oh,
now, wait a minute. This is one of those small red stars we talked about. When I was talking about the different types of stars, we come back to this chart. Look down there on the bottom right there, you see an M, right? That M type star, those are the coolest and the reddest. Okay, lowest in temperature and reddest. It also means they're the smallest. Lowest mass, smallest radius. There are M stars that are only slightly larger than the planet Jupiter. And when we talk about the TRAPPIST-1 system with 7 planets in it, okay, we talk about the way they operate, it makes more sense to talk about how Jupiter and its moons work than talking about the sun and its planets, because it's more comparable to Jupiter and its moons than the sun and its planets. Yeah, that's how small it is. Okay, so that's it.
Cool.
If E, F, and G in the TRAPPIST system can support life, we'd expect there to be liquid water. Well, all 3 of these planets can have water. G might be somewhat icy, kind of like on the Mars end of things. E might be a little warm, kind of like a little less than the Venus kind of a thing. Okay, so F might be the one. So James Webb should be looking at that as well. I'm actually sure they're gonna. And when they look at it, they're gonna characterize the atmosphere and see what we got there. If it can have liquid water in its atmosphere and it's a rocky planet like we think, then it's possible that James Webb can find that there might be life there. So far, so K2-18b, Proxima Centauri b, TRAPPIST-1F is possible. Now, not to stop there, right? Because we have Kepler-22b. What's that? Well, it was the first known planet in a system with a sun-like star in the habitable zone.
Oh.
Okay, so Kepler-22b could also have liquid water on it. Now, you hear this thing about water. Water is everywhere. It's not rare in the universe. It's everywhere. It's on the ices that we see on dust grains. Okay, it's in the ice caps of stars. Of planets here. It's in the moons. It's out in the Kuiper Belt. Water ice is everywhere, and it's not just water ice. There's other kinds of ices too, like ammonia ice, methane ice. Okay, but that's what happens, right? We have ices everywhere, and Kepler-22b might be one of these planets that could have liquid water, and therefore could have life. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, I think it's very cool. So these nebulas that you're imaging, then those dust clouds around it, that's all ice as well?
It is the red glow isn't, okay, and the green glow isn't.
But there's ice in there is mixed in, is what you're saying, because I don't really think about it because it seems so hot, and it's that mind trick. The red makes it look hot,
That's correct. And blue is actually the hottest. When we look at a galaxy, look at a galaxy like this. Okay, this galaxy is a spiral galaxy. You can see the spiral arms, right?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, the little red line there is indicating a supernova that we actually checked out in this galaxy some time ago.
Neat.
Okay, it's supernova 2023 IXF is its name, in the galaxy Messier 101. So, but if you look at those arms, you see that they don't just look like pure lines of just stars. It seems to be broken up by dark stuff. That dark stuff is dark dust in those we call those dust lanes in these galaxies. This dark dust is the stuff that is the biggest turn on for me as an astronomer, because in the dark hides life potentially. Okay, because I always qualify potentially, because you're not guaranteed to get life out of a dark dust cloud, but it's within those dark dust clouds where these dust grains exist. And when those dust grains form, these dust grains actually have a coating on them, okay, of ice. And here is a dust grain, right? We have water ice. You can see that. We see the core of the dust grain. It's a silicate core, silicon atoms, right? It could also be carbon atoms. We see that we have methane, okay, CH4. We have NH3, ammonia, ice. And on the outside, you see that other layer. What is that outer layer? That outer layer is areas where molecules form within the ice, or while making ice. So you have water ice, carbon dioxide ice. You have carbon monoxide, methane ice. You have ammonia ice in there. And when radiation comes in, those squiggly lines from the upper left and upper right, when things like that happen, they cause different chemical reactions to occur. All right. When UV radiation strikes, it causes lots of things to happen. It causes the ice to sublimate and sometimes liberates many of those particles and liberates the stuff that was formed in the heart of a star. So among those, of course, is H2O, the thing that makes carbon-based life so effective at what it does. Okay. So that said, we have a process where we would have these dust grains that form out there, and then it would be coated with ice. And those ice coatings are a frozen soup of the things that make life.
Cool.
Now imagine those in the trillions upon trillions quantity, right?
And they're teeny tiny, right?
They are. They are. So, and when they're teeny tiny like that, obviously you got to have a lot of them, and you do.
Yeah.
And as you can see, we had a lot of that soup here in our early solar system because we formed massive Jupiter with it. We formed Earth, and all the other planets in our solar system, and we formed the asteroid belt and all the icy bodies called the Kuiper belt outside of Pluto's orbit. And we formed the Oort cloud, which is a spherical halo of massive quantities of icy objects as well. So in other words, this dust can beget a lot of stuff. And we watched it happen with this.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing. So this dark dust leads to potential life. And by the way, about dust, I just wanted to mention to you, this dust, just because we know it exists doesn't mean it stopped. Okay. Our solar system is full of dust. And guess what? It rains down on you all the time. Do you know when you go outside during the day, Tara, and anyone watching and listening, it's possible that you could come in and when you brush your hair, you're brushing dust out of your hair that was once part of a comet that was passing by.
Oh, cool.
You might have this angelic cometary dust in your hair.
I just thought it was desert dust, that's really fine. So.
Yeah, well, when you sift through the desert and you take a shovel full of dirt out in the desert, as I have a few times, right?
You need a magnet with that?
Yeah, I mean, you could easily find micrometeorites in there.
Cool.
Yeah, if you went out and just dragged a magnet through the desert dust, there's certainly iron compounds out there in the desert, but a microscopic examination of the iron compounds you find could indicate that this was actually meteoric dust. Possibly. Cool. Yeah, it's really cool. And you could sift cometary dust out of your hair. But the thing is, because this dust strikes the planet Earth, it doesn't always burn up. I mean, sometimes it just sort of envelops the Earth, settles down to the Earth, and kind of lands on us all the time. And it is to the tune of 14 tons a night.
Oh my gosh.
14 tons a night falls on the
microscopic stuff. That is a lot.
It has to be to make 14 tons, right?
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah. And
so we're getting bigger. The planet is getting bigger.
The mass is increasing. You're absolutely right. And that adds up to about 5,200 tons a year.
Oh my goodness.
And by the way, those are metric tons. So a metric ton is like, what, 2,200 pounds roughly. So it's more than 5,200 tons that we know of. It's slightly larger. So you see, dust is an important factor. And dust is the seed of life, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not just the Earth and other stars that have potential life. We also have moons. within our solar system that have potential life. Okay.
Cool.
Moons like Europa around Jupiter. Europa's 2,000 miles across, roughly 1,930 miles across. But Europa is sheathed in ice, thick ice mantle. Okay, many miles thick. Yeah. But on its interior, what's happening is Europa is being pulled by Jupiter, but also by other moons, Io, Ganymede, Callisto, the Galilean moons that are out there. And as they pass around, they're squeezing Io and tugging on it and doing this. So slow motion, Io's being tugged, and you get cracks from the interior. That tugging does something else besides just create cracks. It creates heat. So the interior of Europa is actually warm. You have an icy mantle. You get down through the ice, and the ice gives way to slush. Then that slush looks like it gives way to a very salty ocean. There's that salt again. Okay. And so that salty ocean.
1 minute.
Thank you. Get your stuff together. That salty ocean is the result of this kneading process, like kneading bread.
Oh, it is like kneading bread. Cool.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So underneath there's missions that are going to go to Europa and check it out, because it's possible that there's life under the ocean, under the ice of Europa. And we wouldn't think that there could be life, except for the fact that we found life here on Earth that does not depend on the sun.
The
You're not going to get the sun there.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to get chemosynthesis rather than photosynthesis. Chemosynthesis, chemical synthesis of life. We get that at the hydrothermal vents on our planet. And more about that and more when we get back. Stick with us.
See ya.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you'd like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected. Only at kgradb.com.
Here we go again.
Yay!
Yeah. So I think that in looking at the potential for life on other worlds, we have to consider that water is probably a constant. In other words, tiny Enceladus, Saturn's moon Enceladus, like Europa, also shows evidence of icy world giving way to water oceans beneath. Now, Enceladus is only 300 miles across, but
Small.
that's small, but
Mhm.
it's still being needed by Saturn's moons Dione and several others, Tethys, that are also moving around and interacting between Saturn tugging on it and these other moons pulling on it differentially. It's kept Enceladus warm. And the thing that's interesting, both with Enceladus and with Europa, we see geysers coming out of these fissures created. Europa has these fissures, and we've captured and seen carbon dioxide. We've seen, or carbon, I should say, water ice and water being spewed from these fissures. Enceladus is another one. In fact, when Cassini went zipping by, Cassini's mission to Saturn, they actually found that the moon Enceladus actually had a southern pole that had these linear ripply features that they figured out were hydrothermal vents on the bottom
Wow.
under the ice. So it's possible that we're looking at water that's superheated by the interior of Enceladus.
So they don't
Or
know if it's
maybe-
water or ammonia or anything else,
No.
or do they know?
They know it's water.
Okay.
Now, the water's pretty definitive, but whether there's life or not, see,
Yeah.
that's the question, right? Now, Ronald asks in the chat, he says, what about Mars moons? Okay, that's actually a very good question. Martian moons are actually asteroids, right? Phobos and Deimos. It looks like they might be asteroids that were captured. There's no surface on them other than soil, regolith, okay, like on the moon, but at a much smaller scale. So we're seeing these tiny asteroids that have been captured by Mars. So Phobos and Deimos don't really hold any hope of life. Although, is there water there? Maybe. I mean, we found water all over the moon in the form of locked up ice.
Right.
Again, water is very common in the universe. It's not uncommon to find that. So I think that this is very, very important, that water's commonality in the universe means a great deal to life. That's a very good thing. If we found that life is not found where you find water, we'd be hard pressed to find life. Right?
Well, I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
So on Mars, if those are the moons for it, are those small moons enough to give it like a tidal effect like Earth has with its moon when Mars had an atmosphere? And we think it had water, would that have been enough? Or do you think life evolves without moons? Do you have to have that tugging and pulling?
Yeah, well, keep in mind that, and that's an excellent question, actually, by the way, and I'm glad you asked that. Keep in mind that let's suppose our moon goes away tomorrow.
Okay.
We won't have tides anymore, correct?
Right. You think.
Trick question.
Yeah. You
I'm glad you said I think. No, it's incorrect. We would have tides, but they'd be about half the magnitude of what they are now. Okay. So instead of a 30-foot tide up in, was it Nova Scotia, Bay of Fundy? Okay. We would get a 15-foot tide. Why? Because of the sun. Okay. The sun is also,
gravity.
it's far away, but it also tugs on our planet and causes tides. All right. we might not get neap tides and spring tides because of the the configuration of the moon and the sun together, but we would get tides. In fact, without moons, with the moon creates large tides someplace where you get tidal flats for hours at a time. These tidal flats are areas where life that can't exist in the air would pass away and die. But what if there was an adaptation brought about by the pressure of their environment constantly being drained every few hours? Right? Every 12 hours. Well, if that happened, then there might be a mutation that allows it to take advantage of the fact that the air comes in every few hours, and that the water comes back a few hours later. And so that is like the mud skipper. That's why the mud skipper evolved the way it did.
Right.
It came out of the water, and in its particular pressure was to be able to move to a different location for one reason or another, breeding or whatever. And to do that, it had to leave the water. Well, if a fish tries to do that, it can't. Well, the mud skipper developed these fins so that it could actually kind of
Walk.
right, and kind of walk. Yeah,
Cool.
that's a fascinating possibility, right? So, I mean, we have traits that have evolved, okay, that take advantage of these situations. The mud skipper is definitely evolution in process. We're watching it change right before our eyes. Okay, it's a fish that lives in the sea, breathes with gills, but it's able to stay out of the water for an extended period of time because it's developed the capability to manage the air. And that's something that's very important that we don't. Cool. And so that's it. Evolution in the making. Who knows what the mud skipper will be in another million years? Maybe your neighbor. Hey, buddy. Hey, how you doing? So obviously that's really important, right? Anything else from you, Tara, that you'd like to ask?
No, go on. I'm curious. You had some more about some more moons. I'm curious to see what.
Yeah. The last one we'll talk about is Titan.
Yeah. Okay.
Saturn's moon Titan is in deep freeze. It's got a surface of under a lot of atmospheric pressure, but it's also deeply cold. So cold that the right temperature and pressure is related to the capability for methane to exist in liquid form, right? And so we get liquid methane lakes and seas on Titan. Want to take a dip?
Sure. Once.
Yes. There was somebody did a study, said that 3 seconds in a Titan lake would be enough to doom you immediately, pretty quickly. It'd be 3 seconds and then you're gone.
Wow. That's pretty quick.
It'd be frozen solid by this liquid. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And there's also ethane, liquid ethane as well. Now, what's the difference? Well, it's all in the number of carbon atoms basically that you have. Okay. If you have carbon atoms have 4 spots that you can link. It's like carbon, right? And it has what are called valence electrons on the outside, and you can link other atoms to these spots on the carbon atom. Well, if you link another carbon atom in that chain, you have a carbon-carbon atom, okay? Which, by the way, is something we see with interstellar dust. Who knew? And carbon-carbon, yeah. And, however, if you take 2 of those and you add hydrogens in all those other spots, that's ethane. So if you have a carbon atom and you put hydrogen atoms all in those 4 spots and not second carbon atom, so you have carbon and 4 hydrogen atoms. That's CH4. That's methane. So ethane is just 2 carbon atoms, okay? And you end up with that shared bond by the 2 carbon atoms, and then you have a total of 6 other hydrogen atoms around it. See? So that's really cool.
It is cool. I'm glad there's not a test, though.
There is, but don't worry. You'll pass.
Yeah. It's open book test. Okay.
But Titan's in deep freeze. Okay, Titan looks like the Earth composition looked, but without the deep freeze. Okay, so that's why Titan is so interesting, because by studying Titan, which is locked forever for so far in this deep freeze is sort of like a laboratory that's been frozen in time. And so it gives us a chance to look at what might have happened in the early solar system frozen in time. This also happened here, and it's frozen in time. So studying Titan, it will give us an immeasurable amount of data for what happened here early on in the formation of our planet and what could happen in other worlds around other stars. Right? Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm. How do we study something so frozen? Is it just trying to penetrate through that ice, or do they actually melt through that? And can they?
Well, at this point, no, we haven't been able to. We don't have any missions that could, quote unquote, melt through it. But I can tell you that we actually do studies from orbit. Okay, the Cassini orbiter was able to penetrate the Titanian clouds and notice these lakes. The Huygens probe that was on Cassini departed from Cassini, went down and landed with a parachute on the surface of Titan.
Cool.
It lived a few minutes.
More than
but we
3
got
seconds.
We did. We got a lot of pictures. Some pictures. A picture of the terrain at this location on Titan. And you see, I think this way. I wonder what it looks like right now.
Yeah.
You know, is it covered in frost? What happened? I wonder what that looks like right now. I'm really interested. I want to go there right now just to see it, but not like this. I need a
in your mind's
bigger
eye.
coat. Yeah, in my mind's eye, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
very cool.
So that's sort of our summary of the water planets and moons that we see to date that might be of interest to us. But I've spoken about the moon before, and I told you tonight we would actually look at ways that you too, that's right, act now and you get free. A way to look at the moon up close and personal that is your own personal and amazing source. And that's going to happen with something I'm going to add here now. Okay.
Cool.
So here we go.
There
it is. You know what that is? That's the moon, right?
Yep.
But how we getting here? Well, this is how we're getting here. Let's just point this out. Okay. Here's what you look up, guys. And I'll take me and Tara away for now. Okay. You're going to look up LROC Quick Map. You can also look up LRO Quick Map, and you'll get this link. And that link brings up this right here. Okay. It actually brings this up. This is the moon. Now, this is the front side of the moon. Okay. But look what you could do with the front side of the moon. You can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and keep going. And all the data that was collected that could show you, look at these rocks.
Oh, yes.
These are rocks in Copernicus crater on the moon, you know, and we keep going. And now we're to the max resolution. Look at the shadows from these rocks.
That is awesome.
It is.
It looks really soft.
I know it does, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the lunar soil is like glass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when the astronauts were walking on the moon, and yes, we did go to the moon. I don't want to hear it. Okay.
Can you prove it from this program?
As a matter of fact, you can, and we're going to. When we look at the this lunar reconnaissance orbiter quick map, we notice the front side of the moon, which is here. And you look up here, and you got this menu item up here. And up here, you're gonna click on the top one, and these are the different projections. So we can look at the North Pole. We can look at the moon's South Pole. We can look at the far side of the moon. Notice how different the far side looks from the near side. Okay, here's the near side of the moon.
Yeah.
And we have all these dark seas and all this dark area, right? But on the far side, which is a great cartoon, by the way, we just have a couple little ones.
Oh, I thought there's supposed to be structures all over there that we just couldn't see.
Yeah, I just, people still think that the far side of the moon is the dark side of the moon. It's not dark. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Clearly not. So, but we also can look at it in terms of a globe. Check this out. So when we see a globe, all right, we can actually zoom into the moon this way. Now, the image does get better. You can rotate the globe around. Okay. Here's Tsiolkovsky crater. We actually, I've spent time in talking to the curators of the lunar data, and we get access to this data, and we can download and print out in 3D on 3D printers all of this data.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Now, this particular system here that we have, this Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick Map, it can also do it, right? And you can look up how to print out these files so that you can then print them on your 3D printers.
Oh, cool.
But check it out. Now we're zooming in on this center. Now, when we do the lunar globe like this, the regular globe, it doesn't get as detailed as when we actually do, say, the orthographic far side. Okay, because when we do that, we see this. Okay, and we zoom in, and we'll find that there's more detail that's visible. Okay, we don't see this kind of detail. All right, isn't that crazy?
Oh, it's just cool.
It is. Look at the detail here.
You could just spend hours looking at the moon.
And people get lost in here. Let me tell you. All right. So this is right here. Here's the farthest in we can zoom. Okay. This is 0.5 meters per pixel. Right.
Yeah.
So these are all several tens of feet across, these guys right here. Okay. But you can actually see the size of a pixel. Okay. But look, you see this long trail right here?
Yeah, it looks like something rolled around.
And it did. Okay. Rocks on these slopes will tend to roll down slope, and you'll actually see the path they took to do it. Okay. Really cool. Okay. So here, now, if you say, well, this slope looks interesting, but how do we know that's a slope? Aha, there's tools. Because if you come back into our menus here and you go into, there's so many overlays, so much data you can look at here. If you go into this magnifying glass, okay, we pick the line tool, and let's just draw a line. Ready? We're going to draw a line from here, okay, right here to say here.
Okay.
All right, and I'll just double click on it to end it, and then watch over here on the right. Look at that. We have a slope, and if you notice, as I move my cursor on the right side, you see that there's a little crosshair that's moving in here.
Oh, yeah.
There it goes. So right there where that rock is, okay, you'll see that is the bottom of some kind of slope, and now it's climbing a slope right here. This is the highest part of this slope, okay, and then it drops off. Isn't that crazy?
That is a really neat feature. Awesome.
Yeah, that's you can see the terrain height right there. It's actually starts the highest is at this end. Then it drops off. I'm looking at the upper chart now up here at the top.
That's really cool.
The upper chart, it drops off. And then this is the bottom of this area. That's the lowest part in this image. So we'd expect to see things that roll end up down in this region. Okay. Yeah. And then it just starts to climb up a little bit more as we leave. Okay. Isn't that cool? So this is, and that was for a tiny little area within Tsiolkovsky crater on the moon right there. See that? And we can do that using this entire program that they have. Again, Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter orbited the moon, still orbits the moon. And it was 60 miles above the moon, its median distance. And then they got as low as 30 miles rather. So 60 miles, then went to 30. And what they did with it was they actually were able to do all kinds of studies of the moon. There's all kinds of overlays that you can get here. Okay. So for instance, okay, we zoom in. I have, for one of our overlays that I have selected, I have things, let me go back to overlays right here and say I have anthropogenic features. What are those? Well, if I turn them off, you see some dots disappear. When I turn them on, the dots reappear.
There they are.
You know what those are? Those are sites where humans had activity. So you want to see.
That's a lot.
If you want to sort by type, we can sort by Apollo. We can sort by the Apollo missions. Okay. And now everything here is Apollo mission related. All right. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, let's go here. We're going to go here. This is Apollo 15, right? How do we know? Because it says A15. So. You can control the opacity of the screen. So let's dim it out right now. You'll notice there looks like some scars here, some kind of lighter area. What is that? Let's zoom in. Okay. Let's zoom in. Let's zoom in.
Okay.
And now we've zoomed in as far as we could. And what do you notice? Look at the dark lines. See those little lines?
Are those tracks?
They are indeed.
Oh, cool.
These are tracks left
been doing-
by the astronauts in their rover.
They've been doing donuts out there.
I bet they have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
See?
This is the lunar module base, that little guy right there.
Oh,
Okay. So there's a lot of stuff you can get from this. So if you don't think you don't think we landed on the moon, then you got to figure out how they would go through the effort of faking this.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's the thing: if we had not landed on the moon, the Russians would have eagerly, unequivocally stated that we did not land on the moon. They would eagerly
that's true.
make the claim that we weren't there,
Mhm.
and they'd prove it because it was a race.
That's true.
But they know we were. They know we were. Now, we've been there before with other types of instruments, like for instance, this guy right here. Okay. We got to zoom way in to see it, and I'm not even sure if Surveyor 6 will show up, but you can see this little shadow right here. That's the shadow of the Surveyor 6 that was on the moon. Surveyor was a landing program where we landed on the moon, made a soft landing, and took images. Now, there's a famous mission where one of the Surveyor craft was approached by an astronaut from a lunar module. And that Surveyor craft is, I think it was it 14? I don't think so. No, it's not 14. Maybe it was. No, it wasn't. But here's Apollo 14, and you can see all the lunar module landing sites, which is really cool.
Yeah.
There you see the lunar module and the long shadow from it.
Oh, yes.
See that? You see a long shadow from it, and that's really cool.
That's awesome. Mark, we're coming up on 2 minutes.
Yeah,
I give you a heads
see
up.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So bottom line, guys, is that if you look it up, again, it's LRO Quick Map. And it'll tell you, did you mean LROC? And yes, you did. LRO Quick Map. And that'll take you right to here. And you could get lost on the moon. It's a lot of fun. Now, I actually use this to do other things. When the lunar module separated from the command module up in orbit, okay, what ended up happening was the lunar module was jettisoned and went into a shallow spiraling orbit around the moon, where it finally crashed almost horizontally at high speed into the moon. And I found the spots where the lunar module hit the mountains and spread debris for miles afterwards.
Ooh, cool.
And they're on here. You can see that on here. That is really cool. So it's really an incredible program. Again, you can do a 3D globe. You can do all kinds of layers. I didn't even go into the layers you could see, but my gosh, there's so many layers. They're called overlays that you could do. There's also all this other data that you can go into, looking at the elemental abundances, what's on the moon, where's the titanium, where's the helium-3, stuff like that. All here. It's all good, So we have the lunar prospector stuff. Okay. In any case, you would have a great time digging through this data if you want. And actually, you can use this to do some real science, which is kind of neat. But it shows you how much we know about the moon. And I think you'll really appreciate it. What do you think of that, Tara?
Oh, I think that was fun, but we needed more time, another hour or two to go through that.
Well,
Maybe
I'm
next
going
time.
to do another stream specifically on the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter Quick
Cool.
Map, and that'll be for SkyTour live stream. I'll check the weather. It wasn't looking good earlier, but I will see if it's looking good now to go out and stream. And if you don't hear from me, well, it's because of the weather. Anyway, you guys have a great evening. Tara, thank you so much for being here. You're always a dream to work with. Thank you.
Such a privilege. Thank you.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next time on SkyTour Radio. So good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming out.